So welcome to another episode of the Imperfectly Perfect podcast, where each week I'm joined by some of the world's most renowned faces in the entertainment industry, on the sports field, corporate leaders, and inspirational thought leaders around the world, sharing their own truths and personal journeys. Today, we have none other than Tayler Holder. Growing up outside Dallas in a small town called Alvarado, Tayler has always been an entertainer. At the age of 3, he began racing and competing in motocross, a passion that he still holds to this day. After finishing high school via homeschooling, he moved out to California to follow his dreams to be an entertainer and started to create content for Instagram and Musically, quickly growing his popularity on the platforms with his viral lip sync videos as well as his daily lifestyle content. Soon after that, he branched out into the world of acting with online series Dirt. After joining TikTok, Tayler quickly grew to millions of followers on the platform, continuing to create viral content. After collaborating with members for years, he joined the Hype House for a short period. Today continues to create lifestyle content for his fans on social media, but is now focusing a majority of his energy on his music career as things are quickly taking off for him. Stay tuned as we talk about all this, his new music, and everything else as we go through the podcast, guys. So firstly, welcome to the show, Tayler.
Dude, you did your research for sure, man. You just gave me a whole background check, some stuff that I forgot that I even done. I was like, oh crap.
Well, the thing is, appreciate your time. I know that you've just come off the back of your release. It was yesterday or last night for you guys, because we're a day ahead of you.
Yeah. So the song came out today technically, but with the way that the music side of stuff works, it drops at like midnight Eastern time. So 9 p.m. LA time yesterday. And I had a little release party at my house and it was great, man. It was like the perfect amount of people, great people. We had like a taco truck come and played some basketball and just caught a vibe.
Nice. Well, let's start there then. I want to take you back to the beginning in a moment, but whilst we're talking about that, you've come off the back of a release. Tell us about your new single.
Yeah, man. So the single I just released, it's called I Hope. I wrote it from a perspective of I was just with a girl not too long ago, and I we've all kind of been there before where your significant other is either cheating on you or quite in love with someone else, or not fully over somebody, and etc. And so I caught this person talking to and hanging out with her ex like while we were together like 3 different times, and it just, man, it was a lot. And so I just basically decided that it was probably just best for us to go our own ways. And it's just basically a song like saying like, I hope he can give you everything that I don't,
Nice. Well, your music, it's funny because obviously when we touch base, your music and the lyrics behind them, like Human, go so deep. And I suppose everything that you brought up within your lyrics really attests to what this campaign is about, called Imperfectly Perfect. It's about removing the mask and actually getting to know the person behind the profession. So can you, I briefly spoke in your bio about everything, but can you just take us back from the beginning when you were moving to California? Like, do many people know, because you're given this title as influencer, do they even know that you went to California to become an entertainer prior to the content creation?
Yeah, man, I don't think so. I literally got chills whenever you said that, whenever you're talking about like taking that mask off and just being raw. I write all my music based off of real moments that happen in my life. And it's not just, me just writing a song that I think everyone can relate to, or just putting on some like facade just so people can like the music. It's like real stuff that I've went through in my life. So I appreciate that, that you even noticing that. But yeah, man, going back, I mean, like you said, I grew up in a very, very small town outside of Dallas. There was a couple thousand people in my hometown, and no one did what I do now. And still to this day, they don't. It was very hard for everyone to understand. And I ended up like leaving school. I got homeschooled. I was doing all that stuff. And when I was 18 years old, I had a little fan base, and I was like, this is cool. Like, I really want to do this. It was, and I moved out to LA when I was 18. And it very quickly like escalated for me, and I blew up in a very like big light. And I very quickly realized that it wasn't everything that I thought it was going to be, and I'm sure that even people that you spoke with, you've probably got a pretty good understanding of the industry, but it's it's like very cheesy and cliche, but it's just like everyone says, with great power comes great responsibility, but there's like so much that like, that's why like I try to be raw. There's so many people that like put on these like images and they do all this stuff and try to act like they're like somebody that they're really just not. And I think that I probably went through that for a while. I feel like everyone goes through their moments of their quick fame and their money. They're flashy, they're all this, all that. But I can honestly say, man, this industry, and I try to portray that a lot more now that I've grown up. I'm 24, I'm almost 25 now. So I've been out here for a while. I moved out here when I was 18 on my own too. I didn't have like my parents or anything out here with me. They were very supportive, and they literally paid for everything until I started making money, man. And they were very supportive, but I had no discipline. I had to mature very quickly. But I try to let people know what it's really like, because there is so many people out there that don't understand. They're just like, oh, it's great, they're rich and they're famous, and they get to just live their life. And I'm like, man, if only you knew, this. Don't get me wrong, it's nice to have money, it's nice to have nice things and all that stuff. But what is money and what is all that if you completely lose yourself trying to find something you thought was so amazing, right?
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I've been struggling with the most, and that I've been really like practicing on keeping myself grounded recently and all that stuff, man. It's there's so much that goes into it.
And I think that's the thing about this campaign, uncovering it. I mean, I've spoken to some people with a huge amount of wealth, a huge amount of fame, and each person has said, you see the fame, you see the money, but ultimately you don't see behind. And that is attesting to what you say in your lyrics when you say you see what you see, but that's not how it is. Behind your screens, this looks like gold, but there's things you don't know, nobody knows. The lyrics there, mate, are so, so powerful. And I suppose, what was it like coming from this small place? And I think people don't understand this, because I've spoken to people in similar situations as yourself, environments where there's a few thousand where you're from, you do something, it goes viral. You're actually living your life and your mistakes in the public arena. And as a young guy and as a teenager, that people think, this looks amazing. What's the reality when you go from not being known to suddenly eyes on you?
Yeah, there's definitely positives and negatives to it. I mean, it's amazing because at just the touch of like my phone, I can reach so many people and change so many people's lives. I still don't even understand how that works, right? It's like, how can I like change these people's lives just from like my videos? But it really is, man. There's so many people that go through stuff, and that's what like makes me step back and I'm like, dude, like, cause you would think that I would be good at like being more in the public eye now or whatever, because I've been in this public eye image for so long. But honestly, it's made me more insecure than I've ever been in my life. It's given me the most anxiety, like going out in public. Like I have such like such bad anxiety going out, like all that stuff. But it's a blessing and a curse, man. It was, and especially whenever you get it super fast. And I think that's why I like the song Human, right? And even those lyrics, there's obviously in life, there's so many things that people don't know that go on in your personal life, but I don't really have very much of a personal private life. It's, the whole time that I've been, this quote unquote TikTok kid or whatever, there's been paparazzi flying drones in windows of my houses and invading our space, and hundreds of fans outside of our houses when the address gets leaked. Everywhere I go, there's paparazzi or fans taking pictures. There's people, like, it's just there's no privacy anywhere. So it's like the little bit of privacy that I do have, I like try to keep it offline, and then it still gets out. It's like there really is nothing there to like, so it's like, it's just like, here's my whole life. And what's so hard about that is people hold us to such like crazy high standards because we have this big reach on people. We're supposed to be this inspiration to people, or all these things. And it's like, okay, you guys also have to come down to reality and realize that we're human beings as well. And whenever you're watching every move that we're doing in like a fucking magnifying glass, it's like, you're going to see the mistakes that we make. We're human just like everybody else. The problem is like everyone like judges us for what we do wrong or whatever. But all those people are doing the same shit that we're doing. It's just not being seen. It's just not being, but that's why I wrote Human, is because I feel like people fail to realize, with this platform, we're supposed to be an inspiration, and like they leave us no room for like maturing. There's so many of these people where like, I blew up on TikTok when I was a little bit older. I was like 20, 22 almost or something like that. So I was a little bit older, but there's so many young people that are like 16, 17 that are like blowing up on social media and all that stuff. And they're literal kids. Like they have to learn, they have to make so many mistakes to like figure out what the fuck is right in life as well.
Yeah.
And people don't understand that. And so they're very judgmental.
Yeah, it's really hard. Like even from a sideline, watching people like yourself, watching the people that I've got to know through this campaign. One thing that I was always told, it was if you're in a rush for something, you've got to think, are you ready yet? And someone once said it to me and I said, what do you mean, are you ready? And they said, so whatever you're doing in life, like you're just waiting for the money to come to get to that place. But are you ready to make a business sustainable? Are you ready for this? All these people that are wanting to go viral because they think of this life. Are you ready if you go viral for the wrong reasons and people move away from you? All that comes into play. But can you take us into the day in a life of not just yourself, but for you was in the hype house with so many other people? If people are there thinking you just get to hang around and take videos, I suppose a responsibility comes with it as well. And like, how much behind the scenes do people not know?
You know, there's certain days where it's like so much more than you would never know. And there's also some days where it's like, I would not even expect that. But like, you know, even content houses, right? Like to like be completely honest with you, it's really not anything special that you think it is. It's honestly shit. If you want to be honest with you, it's like nothing taken away from the hype house. That was an era that I am very glad that I was a part of. It helped me in a lot of ways as well. And I'll never take anything from that. I learned a lot from it actually. But it was definitely not something that I would say I enjoyed. You know, it was definitely like, you know, we had 21 people inside of one house that there's like, whenever you get that many people, there's lots of drama. There's like little cults that hang out. There's, you know, there's parties and there's like, I'm not like a big partier too. Like I kind of like, I've never drank in my life. Like I don't do like any, like the drug stuff, like none of that. Like, I just don't enjoy it. And there's like crazy parties or there's people arguing, there's cults. There's like, it's also like, you would think that we wake up because in the cameras, it looks like we just all like get on the camera and we're all collabing and it's a great big family. And it's like, realistically, bro, like I had to force people to film. Like everyone had to like force each other to film. It was literally like, we'd be sitting around not doing shit. And we would be like, yo, can we film this video? Like, please, like whatever, We would film up, like stand up, smile. Like we like are acting like we're having a good time. Right when we got done filming, we're like, all right, we just sit back down and it's like nothing again. It was like very just like empty. And I was like, how do you live inside of a huge mansion with so many awesome people, with so much like talent everywhere and still feel so lonely? It's like, that's why I take it back. And I'm like, and it took me a while because like, I thought I always had to put on this like facade and this like thing because there's so many sad people out here, right? So many depressed people in the world that like depend on us to make them feel better. So it's like, I'm like, I'm not supposed to like put sad stuff out there. They're supposed to turn to me and it's like, I got in my head, it's like, I'm not even allowed to be sad anymore. I have to be perfect for everybody always. Right. And that's one thing that I quickly like realized, like taking a step back and it's like, bro, people love vulnerability. Only the people that will judge you for being vulnerable are just insecure themselves. Like they're just going to judge you like, oh, look at this, fucking make fun of them for being vulnerable. Like only very confident and content people with their life can be vulnerable and talk about stuff like this, you know? But I took a step back, man. This year was definitely not the most ideal year for me. From family to relationships to friends to industry to just like everything about life. Like it was just, I got off to a rough start and it was a huge setback. I chilled out. I didn't post for a while. I took a break. And that's what I think that people fail to do sometimes is take a step back and breathe, right? Everyone's so like, I got to make as much money as I can. I got to be as famous as I can. I got to get more followers than this person. And I'm like, dog, if you only understood what came with that, man. And I've just been really like regrounding myself with life and the point of life because I feel like people miss that. And that's what I mean by like, what is all of this if you completely lose yourself trying to find something you thought was so great? Because at that point, you just have a bunch of nice things and you're just a sad person. It's like, you're just like a sad guy in a big house and driving nice cars. It's like, what is it at that point? It's, I've been one of the most successful people in this social media space. And I would honestly say that it's put me at the absolute lowest points of my life. It's fucked up my relationship with my family at points. It's fucked up my friendships. It's fucked up my relationships by just honestly, man, it's really just not as great as what you would think. And I know you know that, but anyone I'm talking to right now as well.
But I think when you're stepping forward, you're saying your truth. But even when somebody like yourself or anyone in the public eye that I've spoken to starts setting their truth, there's still gonna be always people out there that pick up on that and say, you're doing it for this reason, that reason, or the other reason. So
Yeah, dude,
Almost
that's
like how can you win at times? So how have you got used to that?
I would say, yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, at the end of the day, everyone's gonna have an opinion. There's no really winning, to be honest with you. There's no like, even as like blunt as it is, and like some people will disagree or whatever, like, but it's kind of like the whole like, it doesn't really ever get better. I feel like you just get more, just like more, I guess, comfortable with it. Like you just come, like you just adapt to it. It's we just live in a negative world, and that's just how it is. Everyone's going to have an opinion. Everyone's going to say what they want. You can say everything that you want and put it out there, but they're just going to strip it down and take pieces of it, and just always have their own input. I mean, all you can do is just say what you know, and be true with yourself and be true with everybody. And like how people react to it, or answer to it, is out of your control, honestly.
Well, you said you've been through one of your lowest points. What do you think you've taken out of going through those lowest points in terms of, and this is not talking about anybody else or in general, but from a personal perspective, we obviously learn lessons when we go through that and we go through the depth. How did you get through that with the support of people? If there is any of your listeners, your followers that are listening, like who may be struggling, how did you, who from an external point of view looks like you've got so many people around you, but on an internal you're feeling the lowest point and the isolated point, how did you manage that?
Yeah, it's hard, right? It's because I would say it's so easy for people to be like, get good people, that like surround yourself with great people, stay close with your families, like be positive, like get, all this stuff. But the real stripped down truth of it is it's hard because like you really don't know who's rolling with you, especially out here. Like it's like, you have like your best friends forever that just leave randomly, it's like they just like up and gone. It's like, but I mean, what helped me was like taking a step back and breathing, like getting away from all the stuff that was causing these issues, and rebuilding my relationship with like, my family. I like, man, I've always been like a really big like Jesus guy as well. Like God's a huge part of my life. But through all this, I like literally like I stopped. I stopped going to church. I stopped like everything, and I just like I had to take a step back and realize what's the point of life, right? And it's like and it's not any of this. And it's and I think that's what made it so complicated, was because it was so hard for me to understand that, of like, because I thought the point of life was to make as much money as you can and be famous and all these things. And very quickly did I realize that there's so much more to it than I ever even imagined. But I would say what got me through it was, it took me a while to even like trust people always, but I have a really solid like 3 people around me that are great friends. They're like literally family to me. I would say that even like I said, like the point of like having like real moments with real people too. I got out, I started playing a bunch of sports, getting out every day. Like just it's so, and that's one thing that like I want to tell people too, is like it's so easy to be sad, right? You just sit in your room and just be sad. Like you just allow everything to happen that's happening. You're not doing anything to fix it. It's really hard, especially in my position at least, getting up and keep going, right? It's like it's hard to stay happy because like I said, it doesn't really ever get better. There's always something going on. It's hard, man, but you can't, at the end of the day, well, whatever's going on in your life, everything is temporary. All like that's what I literally have it tattooed on me, but it's like all pain is temporary. Like what pain really lasts forever. It eventually goes away. But it's one thing that it took me a while to understand, but I've gotten pretty good at it now, is understanding that things that have already happened in life, no matter how mad I get, no matter if I want to go like fight these people or do horrible things to people or like anything at all, like you got to take a step back and realize like no matter what you do, no matter how mad you get, no matter how much you cry, get upset, you're never going to change the fact that what has already happened, that's got you to this point, has already happened. It's done. It's happened. And now you just got to take, like, you step back and be like, how can I not let that happen again? How can I prevent it from happening again? How can I move forward? Right. It's like, that's one of the hardest things to do. And that's what a lot of people struggle with, I feel like, in this industry, because people just hold on to,
So do you suppose
drama and negativity just naturally draws more attention in this industry. And that's the problem here.
Yeah.
I've never been involved in drama. I did my, I had that boxing fight last year, and I did my shit talking, obviously, to sell and do whatever, we needed to do for the fight and hype it up. But like, other than that, man, I've never been in like drama. Like I confront people in person. And if I have problems with people, like I like a real mature like adult should do. And like still, even whenever like we're like confronting people. There's like people in the back like filming it. I'm like, let's just talk like human beings, man. Like, you know, like I don't know.
Do you think that you some of that external angst or that internal angst that you were going through, that you shifted a lot for that through the lyrics of your music? Was that an outlet for you?
You were saying like what I've went through and stuff like that?
Yeah, like because you was an entertainer, presumably you got into acting, like you said, then content creation coming. Where did because you got some pipes, mate. Like I've listened to you
So
sing.
much.
So I mean, I saw you with
Stevie
Stevie,
Mac,
and
yeah.
he's incredible. And then
Oh,
he was blown away by you.
I'm insecure to even sing around the guy. Like he's not human. I don't understand where he's from, but but yeah, it is like I use it as like my like own like therapy almost.
Yeah.
Like it's because I've never been good at talking to people about my problems, even like whether it's my girlfriend, my best friend, my mom, I just don't really, I talk and I tell people what I, to a certain extent of what I want them to know about me, but then there's so much that I still hold inside and I don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
And people have like, recommended like therapy or whatever. And I'm like, I can't talk to the people that are closest with me, let alone someone that I don't know about my problems. I'm like, I don't know how to do that. But so I turn to music. Music is like the only thing that doesn't feel like work to me. Like I turn to music and I write about what's like real moments and real things going on in my life at that moment. So
yeah. And what's the response been?
Honestly, it's been great. It's been really, really good. And I've got a lot of great feedback. There's always like, obviously all those people on like TikTok that obviously have a voice and an opinion and all that stuff. But there's definitely, I always get nervous too, man. I always get so nervous to like post music out there because it is so hard to be a quote unquote, like a TikToker that like blew up from making like shirtless videos to like being a mainstream artist or like going towards there, let alone being taken serious as an artist. And that's, I definitely did that to myself for sure. But it's, I was young, I was growing up, and now I've really figured out what I want to do for the rest of my life. And now it's just making people believe that. And we have a great team behind me, great everything. And we're doing a great job. It's just it's a slow process.
Well, that's one thing I just wanted to touch on, because obviously learning about a lot of people so say, for example, our audience, they're looking at what they see as deemed as an influencer, and then they see you jump to music and then a product or a service. I think that isn't an easy process, is it? Because literally you're going from this to having to learn about the requirements of business and strategy and marketing. You might have a team, but it's like you're starting from zero again. But yet on an external, everyone thinks it's easy for you. So how hard is it?
So it's actually really hard. And whether it's like being a young entrepreneur and starting your own businesses to music and all stuff. But what's cool is like what a lot of people don't understand, and I try to tell them and stuff like that, is because there is this like stigma of like, oh, every influencer just wants to do music because they're popping, or every influencer, every TikToker just goes to music, or what, it's like all this stuff, but like no one ever takes them serious, right? I was doing music before I was even doing TikTok. I didn't post it yet. I would always had this passion for music. I was just like really honing in on like working on my sound, what type of music I wanted to make, getting my voice to where I wanted it to be. Cause I honestly was shit. I wasn't where I vocally wanted to be at all. And I had a lot of work to do. And so I just behind the scenes, like I just worked at it for a long time with Stevie, with other people and learning. I play every instrument. Like a lot of people don't know that, but I play like almost every instrument, just like really like mastering like my craft. And then music definitely was always the end goal here. I just like blew up on the internet and I rolled with that because that's what was working for the longest time while I was working on this over here. But now, yeah, it definitely is hard. And that's where like a lot of people, even like for speaking for someone that like if anyone else out there is like trying to convert and do all this stuff, it's like, that's one thing that I had to realize as well is, I have millions of followers and millions of eyes and people that know me, right? But it doesn't always convert the same. Just because you have like millions of followers doesn't mean your songs are gonna like go crazy because you have this platform. That's where I say like making people believe it, right? It is like starting from ground zero again, because all of these people followed me and started following me because of the videos I was making, or I'm a hot guy on the internet, whatever you want to call it. And they didn't follow me for music. So now it's like, whoa, either I don't like it or like, oh, it's cool. It's like, oh, I'll give it a shot. But it's like, it's literally like you're starting from ground zero again. It helps a little bit, but I'm literally like rebuilding from the ground, like from zero again. But also that's not always a bad thing. That's what took me a while to realize too, of like, there's been so many times where I fired my entire team at one time, from like my assistants to my managers to my agents to like literally all of it. And I was like, well, my life is a shit show right now. And I don't have anything. I don't have a team. I don't even know how to run my own business without a team helping me, like all this stuff. And like, but it took me a little bit too to figure out, but it's not always bad to start from ground zero again. It's actually like very, very good and very helpful. I've found, it opens your eyes in a lot of ways as well.
Last couple of questions, because this is really important. How do you go from, and I got this from a good friend of mine now, and he played with one of the biggest bands in the US, and he was playing to, like, as if followers, he was playing to stadiums of like 20 to 50,000 people. And he said, when the lights and the cameras and the music stopped and everyone's gone home, he sat in his bedroom on his own. And he said, you wouldn't believe. Is that very similar feeling that when kids or anybody looking to this influencer lifestyle, when the parties have stopped, when the lights are off, the TVs, it's just you and your own thoughts? Has there been a point where you've been to kind of a dark spot thinking, I should be doing something, or where is everybody when everything's not happening?
Yeah. Dude, I mean, you hit it right on the nail, man. It is, man. It's very, very lonely. It's, like I said, it's a lot of trying to force people to get up and do the content with you, or force people to do whatever. And then once you're up there, you got to pretend like you're a fucking rock star, and you got to pretend like you're doing all this to like, make everyone happy out there. And then the moment that no one is around, there's no one. Like, they all leave, they come by, they get their filming done that they need. The moment that the cameras are off, they're like, all right, we're out, we got what we need, basically. And then they're like, they don't come around anymore until they want to film again. It's like, there's really like, man, there's no friendships here. There's no like, the moment that you're not doing something to benefit somebody, they're out. You don't ever hear from them. Like, I honestly feel like there are so many people that if I was to never text a day in my life again, then I honestly believe that I would never hear from them again in my life. It's just because, honestly, man, no one really cares. No one cares about anybody. Like, they only give a shit about themselves. They're only like, what's the next thing that's going to benefit me? How can this person benefit me? If they can't, then they don't give a shit about them. Yeah, man, it's sad, dude. It is. And because I am such I love to just help everybody. And yeah, it makes it hard when there's people like that.
But do you think, as you've grown and what you've endured and you've seen the cancel culture, you've seen the popularity, you've seen all that, have you started looking at it from a perspective of, you know what, they're on their journey, I'm on my journey, I've got to do me now, the time is me. Yeah. What information or advice would you give to anybody that's listening that may look to this lifestyle, think it is? And let's not disregard that it can be incredible. Like you said, you've had incredible opportunities. Nobody's dissing the actual industry, because good things come from it and you can use your platform for good. But what advice for somebody that looks and thinks, I'm not going to go down this route because I want to be out there, I want to go viral?
Yeah, I would say for at least the content side, if you're wanting to be successful in that realm, there's so many people doing the same thing over and over again, and it definitely gets oversaturated. I would say, like, kind of take what's working and like add your own twist on it and figure out your own niche. But like, consistency is the main thing. Like, you gotta, like, whenever I was like the hottest I've ever been, I was getting like I was getting millions of likes everywhere. I was posting like 6 times a day on TikTok, every day on Instagram, twice a week, like once a week on YouTube, like all this stuff. Like, I was on it, man. It's a lot of work that goes into it. And stuff like that, but also just as an inspiration of people looking up to this industry and like what is advice can take from it is, I would say, definitely also, everyone's experience is different. I'm just sharing mine, I don't want this to like scare anybody coming into the industry. If anything, I want it to just encourage people to be a little bit more cautious, because no one told me this stuff. No one, besides like my mom, that was always, she's been my fucking best friend and my ride or die through all this. She definitely watches out for me better than I can even watch out for myself. But I would just say, you know, be very careful who you surround yourself with. Don't let it like, you know, ruin friendship as in block them out and be like all this stuff, like be open arms to everybody, but definitely at the same time, be very aware of what's going on, because there's so much that you would never even understand that people are doing to you. And I would say, in the most like right way, I would say be selfish. Honestly, that's one thing that I wish I would have done, because there was so long where I put everyone above me and I put everyone before me instead of focusing on my own craft and my own career. And it's probably, I'm curious as to where I would have been a year ago if I would have put myself first, right? I wonder if like, you know, because I think it definitely put a long pause on where I could have potentially been. I would say that, you know, it's selfish out here. Like no one's really for you. Everyone's for themselves, and do the same, man. Come out here and get what you need to know. Like what you're trying to get done. Do it. Come out here, get your stuff done, and just be very aware. Bye. Sorry, my phone's leaving. Be very aware of fuck, man. Yeah. Be aware.
Do you think, and I've got a question for you now, like a serious, do you think when you think that and put it to yourself and go, where would I have been if I'd have been selfish? If you look at it from another perspective and go, you know what, if I hadn't have gone what I've gone through in this past year, I wouldn't have been able to be the person I am now to make it sustainable to where I'm going.
That's a very good point as well. Yeah, that's very true. Because, you know, and that's where I say, like, you can't beat yourself up, because I'm like, I wonder where I would be if this happened this way and this, but also you got to take a step back and realize, like, hey, first of all, nothing's going to change that's already been that way. I didn't do that. So it's there and we're here. And, but that's where I say is, I am so thankful that I went through everything that I went through this year, because I would honestly say it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me in my life in the worst way possible. Because my life was a shit show, dude. I was sad. I didn't know what there was moments where I just wanted to pack up and go home. Like I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing out here. I didn't really know. I knew what I kind of wanted to do, but I didn't know if I was supposed to be doing it. And I would say that this was a big news flash for me. And it was going through all of this is definitely the reason that I'm on the right track right now. And I have so many amazing things coming up that I don't think I can share yet, but like you guys will see them like soon. But like, I would say that it was a weird way of God showing me just who shouldn't be involved in my life. It was a weird way of God showing me that where I should be going, you know, and it's hard to take a step back and realize, you know, like God works in very weird ways, sometimes ways that we may not ever understand or agree with, but you got to take a step back and realize that where I was saying is like, maybe it was a good thing that I'm at ground zero right now. Maybe I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be right now. You know, everyone worries about next week and next month and next year and where they want to be. But, you know, I feel like the most important time is like right now, because whenever you like all you can do and change is right now. You can't change what's happening in a year. You don't even know where you're going to be then. Like, you don't even know if you'll, you know, and whenever that time does come, whenever next week comes, you'll only have right now, because you'll be there now. You know, it's like everyone's so worried about everything in the future instead of just focusing on like what they could do now. And
dude, I love it. I love that point. And that's why I brought that up, because this campaign, I wasn't brought up around religion, spirituality, anything. Through this campaign and what I've learned, it's come to me. And when you mention God and things like this, that's why I asked that question, because I'm like, I have been doing this, helping people. I've emptied my pockets and I've been like, what is going on? But there were friends that said, Glenn, it's actually equipping you to understand how to help those people. I've got put in front of yourself and some of the biggest names across every single industry, and I knew nobody. And then people started reaching out to me going, Glenn, can you connect me with? Glenn, can you do? And I was like, who wants to know Glenn? So then I was taught what it's like for you guys. So that's why I asked you that question, because when you mentioned God, I'm like, okay, he's knowing that those doors are being closed.
Oh, it is. And it's like, that's why I'm like, at moments, I feel like a zoo animal. Like, it's like, I feel like someone just goes to like, or like, there's no one that cares about me. They just want to know, like, it's like I go home and like to like see my family, and like I run into people because I obviously grew up there, and like everybody in my hometown knows me. And like the first thing they see, it's like, how is it being rich? How is it being famous? It's like, what's up? Like, how have you been? You know, it's like, there's no like that. It's like, so what's the famous life like? Like, what's the this? What's that? Like, oh, like, so do you know Drake? Do you know, have you met Justin Bieber? Have you, like, they don't give a, they just give a shit about what you're doing. They don't care about just like genuinely you. It's just like, that's why I'm like, I wonder if I lost, and I did for a while. And I was like, I wonder if I lost everything, who would really still be there? And the truth of it is very, very little amount of people, like quite nobody, honestly. And that's what's sad and scary about all this is really nobody's there.
Last two questions for you. Do you think now what you've gone through, do you think having that time to be isolated on your own, yes, it's hard in respect of going deep in your thoughts, but could you survive now if you had none of that? Like, you've gone through this journey and seen who's been there for you. Are you okay now on your own?
Like I said, I am hands down the happiest I've ever been in my life. You know, I'm obviously human. I have bad days and stuff like that, but like, man, overall, like, I am the happiest I've ever been in my life. And I could not have done it without going through what I did, because I've learned the most valuable things in my life from the falls that I've had, from the fuck ups that I've made, from just in general, you know, just bad things happening. And I've learned the most valuable lessons in life from that. And I'm extremely actually thankful that everything that's happened has happened, honestly.
Love that. And a question I ask every single person that comes on the campaign: with what you've been through, your journey, the highs, the lows, the sacrifice, everything, what does being imperfectly perfect mean to you?
It's a good question, man. I always tell people, I'm like, it's okay to not be perfect, you know? And that's where I go back to, like, and not everyone is like religious and stuff like that, but like I said, it plays a big role in me. But like, man, for like me, like, you know, everyone's trying to be like perfect for everybody, right? Because everyone wants to be respected and liked in every realm. And there's so many people that, for instance, like for me, it's like, there's like Christians. It's like, if you cuss, you're not a Christian. If you sin, you're not it's like, man, like the real truth behind everything, man, is God loves everybody the same. And he loves like broken, beaten down people just like me and you. He loves, like, you know, like that. He doesn't want someone perfect. He doesn't want, you know, and I think that that's what a lot of people forget, man, is it's so awesome to see someone that is a just complete shit show in life. Because that's real. That's authentic. That's, you know, you don't want to be around someone that's like, oh yeah, I got $1 million deposit today. Yeah, I'm about to go buy a fucking jet. It's like, God dang, it makes you honestly just feel like a piece of shit. It makes you feel like, it's like, and I love the people that are like, I have nothing going for me in life. And I'm like, man, I love that so much, because you have so much potential to figure out what it is, bro. Like, it's like, you have like, there's, yeah, I love it. I love it so much. There's so many great things that come with it.
That's amazing, man. You can't really say, because we touched on it earlier, but last thing is, like, obviously, where can people find you, and what have you got coming up? You said you can't say, so
yeah, no, I can't say some stuff for sure, but there's like a lot of cool things that I can't announce. It's like surprises and stuff like that. But I have, you know, I don't know when this is dropping specifically, but I fly out tomorrow, and I'm performing at the Country Music Awards Festival. So that's really awesome, with an amazing artist named Raina Roberts. She's awesome. We have a song together. And then my team is dropping a lot of new music this year. We're looking to drop like a small project, like end of the year or top of next year. We're just like, man, just busting out music, like getting out there, hitting the road. We're looking to do a couple shows coming up soon as well. Just getting our feet wet and just getting ready.
Love that. Well, I just want to say, on behalf of myself, on behalf of everybody, our listeners, our global audience, thank you for coming on and sharing your truths. Guys, I'll put all the links up where you can find Tayler. His new music is dropped, so go get it. It's streaming now, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes,
all around the world. We're a day ahead, so it's already out, guys. Go get it. Yeah.
Well, hey, man, thank you so much for having me as well. This was really awesome. There's not a lot of moments where you get to like share just vulnerable stuff like this. So it was really awesome to open up with you, man.
You're welcome, mate. So guys, please remember, go to those links, check it out, and keep having the hard conversations, because it's the hard conversations that saves lives. Until next time, guys, keep talking.